Hello everyone, Shriram here. Hope I'm audible and visible to everyone here. First of all, thanks for joining here on this program where we're going to talk about Introduction to Scale Agile Framework. Happy to see you on a Friday evening. I know it's not that easy. After a heavy work, you have to come back online, get to the session. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. And it's going to be a short discussion to give a little highlight about the Scale Agile or Agile Framework. Right, we'll do that. So myself, Sriram Kumar. So I'm into the industry of project management. It could be predictive management approach or adaptive management approach. I'm working on both the model. So what is predictive? Something which we know already. We make a plan accordingly and make it deliverables. That's one model. Adaptive is where we have all this agility coming into picture. So today I'm going to just give a heads up on all these agile factors and why there is a scale agile. That's what we will do here. Once again, thanks all for joining. Some of you in the morning hours, good morning. Some of you in the evening hours, good evening. So not much time, 20 to 30 minutes you're going to spend time to give a basic of scale agile. Before I go there, hope the board is visible. If you're not getting it, put it to speaker view. Definitely you'll see the board fully. So in the board, there are a few content I have pre-written to make it a little simple and easy. So the first content, what I want to cover up here. So I made something in the center which is called Agile, which is on the adaptive nature, which I'm going to talk much today. And two questions I have primarily put here. You can see a question why and a question how. Now, primarily, there is a big question in the market. Still, there is a debate in the market. Do we really need agile? There is a big team says, hey, agile will not work. There are team who highly work to tell agile will not work. Right? There are some people who says that predictive approach is pretty old. It will not work. So it's a debate happening in the market. To be honest, this debate is going to happen for another few decades, right? Because we cannot avoid predictive model of project. That's going to happen. You cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid adaptive nature of project, right? Both, it's going to be there. If I know my academics really well and I plan semesters properly and I'm going to conduct my semester exam systematically in an education system, that's going to be more of a predictive nature. I know that's how it's going to happen. Sometimes in the colleges and universities, a ad hoc interviews, a ad hoc examination, abrupt things can happen. Sometimes we have to go adaptive nature also. You cannot tell I will go only predictive. You cannot tell I will go only adaptive. It's a mix of things. That's how the world is all about. So there is no point in fighting which is good. Rather, as a leadership person, as a managerial track person, as an agile thought-oriented person, we should be able to find out what is the best of both, which we can use it. None of the interviews in the market ask you, do you know only this methodology? Do you know only this methodology? None of the interview ask it. If they ask it, maybe the interviewer is not ready for it. The question in the market is, what is the best thing you can bring to the table where it can give a revenue for the company? So companies are revenue focused. They're not worried about are you using this or that. To attain the revenue, we need a systematic approach, right? So predictive adaptive is going to be here. Today, I'm going to spend a few minutes on adaptive nature because I do talk a lot on predictive nature in PMP courses, but today I'm going to talk about in the agile area. So now, the question is why we need agile? The big question here, right? I'll start from there, then I'll go to scale design. Why scale design comes into picture. So when I say why we need agile, the topic here, there are a few factors made us to think about agility. The first factor is customer focus. So from 1980s and 1990s or 2000, there's a high pickup on customer centricity or customer focus. So customer focus is highly expected where customer has more changes, demand as per the market tendency, they want to make more changes. So customer focus is a highly expected, that is one of us need to move towards adaptive nature. Okay, that is one. And the second one goes on early delivery. You can watch it here. You have a customer focus, the first point, and the second point goes early delivery, and the third point goes knowledge workers. I'll go by that. The second one talks about early delivery. Now, what happened is as the technology started improving, automation starts coming into systemized way of approach. The way the technology improved and also the demand in the market start accelerating. And there is always a high demand how early something can be delivered. I'm not putting this on only on the software. It could be anything which has an ability to deliver faster. You can't ask me, Sriram, I am in construction industry. Can I give floor one separately, floor two separately? No, you cannot. You have to complete the whole building, then you have to hand over the building. That's a different process. The point here is if there is a deliverable which can be given with the advancement of technology and people orientation, it's going to happen towards agility. So that's a point we started thinking about early delivery. Okay, two things, customer focus, availability. And what's the third one? Third one is called as knowledge workers. This is a groundbreaking thing happening in the market. Who is this knowledge workers? This is nothing but you and me, right? If you see industrial revolution, those days it's not knowledge workers. It's all heavy, what to say, more of manual and physical work. Now, knowledge workers starts coming in 1980s and 1990s, where knowledge workers only you use your thought process, logical thinking, best way of doing deliverables. Now, these knowledge workers, they start working too much towards innovation thought process. Now, for this, you may not go with the old model of project execution, which has some trouble. Now, here we have to give a free hand for the people to think and deliver. Now, three things on thought process why Agile would have popped up is customer focus, early delivery, and knowledge workers. There is a people. So now, if you can watch out in any corporate, which is at the high level of agility, but the team has more knowledge than the senior management. You can go and check it out. Senior management knows only the revenue part, whereas the team which works on the project has a much better knowledge. That's how the industry is moving. Okay, that's good. So now we know Agile, there is a demand where we got to make it happen. Now, how the Agile team works. So Agile team is a set of people, okay? Set of people, they work together and start giving deliverables. Okay, that's the intention of them doing this job. So there can be multiple agile teams. There can be team two, team three, bunch of teams in an organization. Now, point is, this team works really well. I'm not saying there is no worries on that. The team started working really well from 1980s, 1990s, 2000, 2001. 2001, we started listening to something called Agile Manifesto or Agile Principles, which made it very simple and very easy. Guys, 5 or 7 people or 5 or 9 people join together, work as an iteration. Every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, you will deliver something usable to the customer. This is what that team starts working, for which we use a methodology called a Scrum. Sometimes you use XP, sometimes you use a Kanban. So these are the methodologies you use to deliver value, which is so pretty good. Now the point is, the question starts happening, something on scalability. Now from Agile, I'll move to scaling. Now what I said here is all about Agile factors, right? Now scalability starts coming in. Before we go to scalability, why scalability is needed? We are living in an information technology revolution timeline. If you go back to some years back, you can see the industrial revolution, or it could be steam engine time of revolution. Different revolutions happen. Now we are living in a revolution where technology handles things. You can go back and see any domain or any organization at a big level or a moderate level or a low level. Everybody has an influence on technology. These organizations are influenced by technology and the data. You can take oil and gas industry, they need technology, automation in place. You can take a pharma industry, they need technology. Construction, yeah, they do need technology. Of course, you cannot talk about logistics and travel industry, or you go to education industry. All these industries are having more demand for technology one or other way. Now, what happened is every organization is becoming a technology-oriented organization. Either they have a portion of the company in technology, or the whole company is dependent on the technology. Now, what's the point here? Now, when every organization domain move towards this technology-oriented concepts, now what will happen is there is a high demand to scale up, to do some of the technology and concepts and software on some massive scale. It could be even banking, finance, it could be travel, it could be pharma, medicine, it could be of oil and gas, any industry. They want to scale it up. They want to make it bigger. Now, the book says that who can do business agility? You can see here the business agility. The organization which has a good business agility, they are the one going to win in this revolution. So they have started calculating who can be the best winner, who can give focus to the customer, who can give early delivery, who can utilize the knowledge of knowledge workers like you and me with the innovation thought process at the same time give business agility. That is so big. The words are so easy, right? Business agility. It's easy to hear. Now, what happened is in Scrum methodology or Kanban, whatever we do, it was so fantastic. Now, the only problem here is the agility happened only at the team level. The team level, right? Now, when we want to compete with the fortune companies or a massive scale of organizations, you cannot play only at the team level for agility. You have to have agility at the organizational level, business level. Now, that's a case where scalability expected. So now what is scalability? Now, scalability is nothing but putting all this team together and work as an organized way. Now, for this, there is a thought process where they started bringing something called scaling of agile. There are a few methods in the market. LESS is there and disciplined agile is there. And one of the framework which we are discussing today is called a scaled agile. Scaled agile, right? Scaled agile framework. Okay. This is the most trending framework in the market. Now you can question you why this is trending. Because they have a framework defined, very systematic approach, which touches three key methodologies under Agile, which is of a Scrum, Kanban, XP, best methodologies under Agile umbrella. Probably if you have listened to my classes somewhere in PMI, ACP, Agile Certified Practitioner courses, you would have got certain ingredients of certain methodologies like Scrum, Kanban, and XP. Now, Scaled Agile is putting these things together and utilizing DevOps, and they're framing a virtual organization, which is called as Agile Release Frame. Now, the point here is, let's not too much worry about terminology. Let's keep a focus on what's happening in Scaled Agile. In Scaled Agile, what they're doing here is they are framing a timeline of 8 to 12 weeks of time. A set of team, that is teams of teams, will work towards a common goal with a systematic cadence set there in place. And that's going to give you a consistent and predictable results. Now I'm stressing the word predictability. Customer gets benefit or customer gives more credit when your results are predictable, right? I know we are not talking about predictive nature project. In adaptive nature project, how consistently your results are going to be. Are you in a predictive nature? And this question goes back. Now, what happened is there are a few frameworks in the market. They're also doing a great job. But when scaled agile came in, there was a systematic approach which is called as program increment. The PI, they call it as. They make us 8 to 12 weeks of plan with a systematic few iterations, with timeline for innovation, with timeline for retrospective, with a timeline for architectural designs. They made a proper results coming out. Now this came in the year 2001. From there, picked up highly. And now it is in a high demand. Now, when I say scaled agile is one big umbrella under which there are a lot of certifications. In fact, a lot of learning is there. So one of the interesting learning is something called as safe agilist or leading safe. Now, in leading safe, what they do is they try to show a 360-degree view of what is scaled agile all about. How an organization which has a multiple teams, which has to coordinate together and work towards one common goal. Right? I'll repeat again. They have a multiple teams. They call teams of teams. So let's say be 50 members, 150 members, yeah, bunch of team. But the goal is one. That is delivering maybe a banking application, maybe doing something technology towards oil and gas industry, maybe something specific to pharma industry. You're going to give a common goal, whereas a whole organization will move towards it. Now, the beauty here is there were days technology and IT means they depend only on the development team, the software engineers we call them as, right? And there were crazy demand for them some years back. Even now it is there. But now the market or scaled agile is telling that it's not only they going to give the results, the whole organization, they call as a cross-functional teams, right? You have different teams in your organization, right? Could be human resource, could be finance segment, could be recruitment, could be systems team, could be the networking team. Everybody should work together towards a common goal. Now, the scaled agile, what they do is they try to put this all under one group and make us a virtual organization which moves this common goal, right? That's how they work. Now, a quick catchback on things. What I'm trying to say is first thing, Agile is becoming a dominant thing in the market because we are moving, majority of the projects are moving towards adaptive nature. Even though we have a good demand for predictive nature, adaptive nature is happening in the market because of customers' demand. So why it happens? We understood there is something called customer focus is there. There is something called early delivery is expected, and there is something called knowledge workers. That is the team which we have. There is no more hierarchy format. In industrial revolution or 25 years back, you can see mostly we'll do hierarchy way of handling team. That's not there. Now it's all cross-functional and people work as knowledge workers and each one has their own knowledge to do things, right? That's how it works. Now, from there, I started moving towards scale agile. Now, let me show something interesting on the scale agile factor. Choo, let me bring the screen so that you get a clue what I'm talking here. Here we go. Yep. Okay, what you see in the screen here, it's the framework called Scaled Agile Framework. I know there are a lot of content, so you may think, what to see now? Okay, let me help out a little bit here. Some of you have seen before, some of you are pretty new here, so don't get panicked. I'm just going to show you what they're talking here. See, any framework or project management model, predictive, adaptive nature, first thing you have to understand is who all going to be the stakeholders. Look at here. The box I'm putting here, this is a list of stakeholders. What is a stakeholder? The people who are going to contribute to the project, success or failure, both the way. So if you watch out in framework, they give a list of stakeholders. There are some roles which you already know. Maybe you playing the role in your company now, or you're going to apply for the job in the market. Mark me, these are the roles going to be there for next 10, 20 years because they've established it well. Maybe they tune it a little more to different naming convention, but end of day, these roles are all going to be there. For example, you can see product owner, which is a very prominent one, product manager, scrum master, release train engineers, solution train engineers, systems team, right? There are a lot of stakeholders there, but these are stakeholders are not new. They are there for a long time, but the different naming conventions they were there. The roles were slightly different. Now, scale ledger framework clearly mentions, hey, these are the key stakeholders whom we have to have a focus, whom we have to have a touch with them, right? That's the first part they do. Now, the next part, what they do here is they have a bunch of backlogs. I'm sure if you come from the agile world, you'll be aware of something called backlogs. Backlogs means items to be completed. Okay, they have a program backlog, they have a portfolio backlog, team backlog, the list of items. What do you call? If you come from the agile world, you call them as a user stories, or you call it as a features, you call it as an epics. Sometimes you call it as a themes. Of course, we don't have a word themes here, but we use epics, features, user stories. So look at here, you have a stakeholder You have a list of work to be done already. Now, what you have to do? You have to set a proper cadence, set a proper event to make it happen. Your question, man, Shyam, this is there in Scrum, right? We know this for a long time. What is new here? If you say what is new here, when you put the same Scrum team, teams of team, like 100 people together, you should have a systematic approach. If not, the team will get collapsed. So in order to handle the huge scale, by the way, remember, I'm talking about business agility at the big scalability level. When you want to scale it a little bigger or more, you need a systematic approach. And that systematic approach is nothing but program increment. Okay, I know this looks a lot of content here. Don't worry too much about it, but understand here there is something called program increment. It's a planned approach to do a work between 8 to 12 weeks of timeline. You can question me, what is that, 8 to 12 weeks? It's a decent time where you can complete your good business deliverable or MVP or MMF, right? Minimum marketable feature. A feature which can go to the market to the customer in this decent time of 8 to 12 weeks of time. So now what happens is you have a stakeholder, you have the work to do, you make a plan, what we will do here. Now you can question me where Agile coming here, Sriram. If you ask me, you can look at here, you will see Scrum, you will see Kanban, you can see XP. These are the methods under the umbrella of Agile from 2001, even before that, right? Now, you would pick up any method of this. Let's say I'm working in the Scrum methodology. So I'll have 2 weeks of iteration. We will keep delivering to the customer consistently. And 8 to 12 weeks, we relook what all we did again. Again, we make another 8 to 12 weeks of plan. This is pretty interesting while explaining, but while implementing, there are a lot of things to observe in depth. That's the reason people go for these courses and learn how it works. Because Agile is one of the courses which is very easy to learn, pretty hard to implement. Because anything is easy, it's a little hard on the other side. Now, what they do in this certification courses is they try to explain all these events, all the key stakeholders, and what are the key points to catch up to make a metrics, that is the measurement of what deliverable a customer is going to really get it. That's going to happen in scale agile framework. Now, what are there in the scale agile framework? If you ask me, I believe I should have some stuff for you to show. No, just a minute. Just want to show you what is under this umbrella of scale agile. Here we go. So what happened is Scaled Agile has a few bunch of certifications. One of the interesting certifications we talk about here is leading safe. You can see here there is a certificate called leading safe, which touch base for 2 days of learning. What they learn here is they learn the basics of Agile, including the manifesto, including the principles. They also learn some of the key principles of Scaled Agile framework, which is very important to learn. Also, you will learn the framework, how the system will work in a timeline of 8 to 12 weeks with more than 100 people going to work together. Now I can question, Shyam, I'm not into 100 people team, man. I have only 5 people here. I agree, but that's not your life end, right? You're going to try some new jobs. Your company may expand. Now, point here is how much you're aware of handling agility at the organizational level. When you want to move to the next role or next level, definitely there is a question, are you aware of doing agility at the organization level or only at the team level? Nothing wrong here. Both are good. I do have people come to me, learn some certifications in Agile, which teach them team level and project management level. And also they come and learn with me in scaled Agile, talking at a bigger scale. Srinath, is it bigger needed for everyone? Not to everyone. But of course, if you have a thought process to grow higher cadre in your life, definitely you should go through this process. At least observe the content for your good purpose, right? So that's one interesting course which I recommend. That is one of the interesting course. Other one interesting is if anybody is a business analyst, you are a business analyst or a business person who talks about product of the organization. There is one certification which helps a lot. It's called Product Owner and Product Manager. By the way, you can see here the people who all can go for this course. Now, the product owner is a key guy. He or she is the representative of the customer who is going to be in your premises, do the work. I know some of you would be product owner already, maybe a business analyst, maybe a project manager, maybe a team lead. These are people who look into becoming a domain plus execution. Both will come to your hands. That's another interesting certificate which talks about the system, right? Good. Pretty good. And I know it's a very short introduction, but the point here is just want to give a clue about what is actually scaled agile and why it came up, right? So if you observed for a few minutes, you would have got a clue that scaled agile is not standing all alone. Scaled agile is standing under the umbrella of agile. Agile is there from 2001 with some basic thought process. How can we satisfy the customer with early delivery? Also, respecting the people in the organization. Many times, what will happen is we lose too much focus towards the customer, but not giving importance to the people who do the work. Our point here is respect the people who do the work with you because they are the innovators, they are the creators. Only when they're given enough space and time and knowledge, they create new thought process in the market. Also, customer with one deliverable will not disappear. It's a continuous flow. They call as a value stream, right? That's what happens. So these agile concepts are there for so many years. Now I feel scaled agile is put in a right combination, mix of things. They assembled the car in the right way, right? They took the Scrum, they took the Kanban, they took the DevOps. I know these are there in the market. So what they did, they made a good assembling. I made a good BMW car. BMW car doesn't have everything on their own, right? Something all from suppliers. They take it, assemble it well, and brand it BMW. So now Scaled Agile has ingredients, and also they have an engine which is called as PI, program increment. So anybody interested in agile factors, I would recommend you at least go to this website. Even if you go for a certification, that's a different thought process. First, go to this website called Scaled Agile Framework. Read few hours, understand what it is, because going forward in next 1 or 2 years, that's going to be the trend in the market. We have to know this, and you should have a knowledge of it. That's pretty much on the intro to Scaled Agile. Of course, we have continued session on this coming up in future, where we'll talk a little more key concepts in this area. I'll hold here, and if there is any question, I'll be so happy to help you. Over to you. Any questions here? You can use a chat window. There's a chat window in Zoom. Probably you can type your questions if you have any. Probably you can take a couple of questions now. Okay, so assume you people got the information. So if no more questions, what I do is I'll show one factor and then we can say thanks for the day. So what I do is I'll bring up one factor. Yeah, this is the one I want to show you. Thanks, Sunita. So now this factor, I want to bring it up. Even though I do a lot of management trainings in different segments, these numbers made me more looking towards the scale than that. At least my focus start turning. The end of day, corporates look for metrics and number. You can talk all the funda, but they'll ask you what is on the table. If I recruit you, if I adopt this model, what's the benefit for me? I'm going to put huge amount of money and time. I'm not going to do any fancy work here. Give me the results, right? So now what Scaled Agile is doing is, probably you can see the link at the bottom, scaledagile.com/case studies. If you go to this place, including Bosch, you can see a lot of companies, Fortune top companies, have adopted a Scaled Agile framework, right? So last few years, last 3, 4 years, or 5 years, or 6 years, now they started showing results. Shinam, is this results are made up or real? You have to go to this website and see it's all real data. When you say real data, I started liking one parameter very heavily, which is called quality. You can see the terminology there, 50% defect reduction. You know what? How many days we spent in defect and problem, I have been in industry for the last 18 years. I'm sure you do across a lot of years. Lot of defects which we cannot fix it. It gets a lot of issues, problem. Defect can bring a lot of more customer dissatisfaction. So one area which I like to hear is a defect reduction. When the defect reduction is high, productivity gets more. You can see the next parameter, 35% increase in productivity. Now, with the increase in productivity, what happens is organization is happy about it, customer is happy about it, specifically engagement. You can look at that employees engagement, right? Did I spoke about knowledge workers? The knowledge workers are given a high responsibility and also high focus these days, but their happiness is very important because when the employee engagement is not there, companies have going a heavy iteration, and it's going to have big trouble. So now talking about this engagement, it's something companies are spending huge money to make the people hold on, right? So now when you have this good engagement, automatically the deliverables also goes on time. You can see time to market has increased 50%. Now, these are stats pulled out of some of the top Fortune companies where they adopted it and they started showing results. So now, when question me, is it so cakewalk? I will say no. They do have a lot of hiccups and things. That's the reason you can see Scaled Agile came with the multiple versions. Now we are in say 5.0. It means already a few versions have gone. Why those versions got upgraded? Definitely some problem would have happened, some retrospective would have happened, some improvement would have happened, right? So the framework has an adaptability nature. If something comes in the market says that, hey, this is not working, can we make it this way? Yes, they're doing adjustments. That's how it's improving. So this numbers attracted me. In fact, I went to this case studies. I read a few case studies, including Bosch. I found it's interesting. They're doing certain factors. Do you ask me, is 100% working? I would tell definitely there are certain hiccups is there. Any management model will have hiccups. You cannot tell it to be always a silver bullet. It depends on the people. It depends on the situation. It depends on the mindset of the implementation team also there, right? It all goes. First of all, needed is trust. Yes, it will work. Then only it will work. If the first day you say, no, it won't work, it won't work. That's how it is, right? So, but whatever it is, I have implemented a project in this scale agile, and I found it's pretty interesting in multiple ways. When you come to one of our sessions, definitely explain you the case study of what I did. It's going to help you all. With this, thanks all. I will quickly see if there is any question. If not, we are good for the day. Okay, there is no much question. So I feel that you got the content and you're free to reach out to us to srilearning.com or support at srilearning.com. We'll be so happy to help you. It's a small intro of what is Agile and why we need a scale Agile. We'll have more continued session on this area. Thanks all for participating. Have a great time. Thanks again. Bye.
Thank you, Sridham.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Bye, Sriram.
Thanks, Geeta, for joining. Thank you. Hey, Henry. Thanks, Henry.